Might as well face it now.
Well, that's a good attitude, actually. One flight up in an elevator could change your whole life.
First up, the elevator. In 20 years, Ricky hasn't been in a crowded elevator and has never been able to stand at the back with people in front of her.
This time you get to push the button.
Oh, I do.
Is it empty?
Yes.
Well, let's go in. Here, you go ahead. We go. Okay, round.
See, if I was in here on my own, I'd be okay, or with one other person. But
No,
when you have
you're okay
a
now.
lot of people.
Excuse me, you're okay now.
Mm-hmm.
Stop thinking about when you're going to scare yourself in the future and notice what's going on right now. You're doing just fine. It's fine. Just relax. Take a deep breath. Deep breath.
I'm supposed to breathe, huh?
Yeah, you gotta keep breathing.
Encouraged by Ricky's progress, Bandler ups the ante. He takes her to a hot, dark, crowded movie theater. Ricky hasn't set foot in a movie theater for over 10 years, relying instead on video rentals for her home entertainment.
Very small.
Come on, keep breathing.
Before they've even sat down, Ricky begins to struggle for breath and has become teary. She's suffering from one of her familiar panic attacks.
It's lock and load.
Predictably, Ricky wants to sit on an aisle seat where she'll feel less hemmed in. But Bandler's not having it. He encourages her to sit in the middle of a row.
So how you doing? You doing okay? Mm-hmm. Great. Keep breathing. You're doing really good. Now,
Thank
look at
you.
me. Even though it's not easy, you faced it. And that's a good thing. And that's what you should be thinking now. You shouldn't be thinking, well, it's still a little bit hard. It'll get easier every time you do it. But what you should be really proud of is you buckled down, locked your heels in, and did it anyway.
Yeah.
The day has been one long emotional roller coaster for Ricky, and it's finally taking its toll.
So embarrassing.
Oh, don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed.
I just feel like I just can't take it anymore. I've got to get over this. I've got to get over this. I will do whatever I have to start leading a normal life.
The thing that changed in her was her willingness to confront her fears. I mean, she's gone for a lot of years thinking about only how can I avoid this. And I went through a lot of trouble to get her, so it just got so close together and so built up that suddenly she went, I can't stand this anymore. And when she got to that point, I could see the change in her face. She just all of a sudden went over the top and she started to cry a little bit. And she just went, she didn't think she was doing well, but I deliberately built it up so that it just became intolerable. Now she's decided this isn't really the kind of person she should be. So instead of feeling victimized by it, now it's her time to stand up and be counted. And this is going to start generalizing from one thing to the other thing. And it'll finally reach the point where it doesn't matter anymore.
It's time for Ricky to face her toughest test. 27 years ago, her plane was hijacked, and since then, Ricky hasn't been able to fly in a large crowded plane and has never been able to sit hemmed in at a window seat. Bandler does everything he can to relax Ricky.
You really have to just go through it and get to the other side and get it over with, You wouldn't have to do all this silly stuff you've been doing all along. But what you got to do is go inside and say to yourself, it really doesn't fucking matter where you sit. Once they close the door, we're all locked in. And that's a good thing, because otherwise we'd fly out the door. You really don't want that.
Although accompanying her, he leaves her to get on the plane on her own. All being well, he will not see her again until the plane has landed. So far, so good. For the first time in 27 years, Ricky is on a commercial plane sitting in a window seat.
Get upset? Did you panic?
Suddenly there's a setback. She's once again struggling for breath. Her heart races. Immediately she gets out of her seat and heads towards the back of the plane in search of Bandler. In her panic, she hasn't spotted him. But after a moment, her determination kicks in and she forces herself to return to her seat.
I feel better now.
She begins using the techniques Bandler has taught her. It works. Her breathing is steady and she's even beginning to enjoy the flight.
I'm looking for positive aspect to all this and a better future and a lot of weight off my shoulders.
We've just landed. I have to say I'm proud of myself. I did it. I sat in that little cubicle, even with the tray down. Didn't put my seat back though. I was too nervous. Looked out of the window a lot, and I did it. And I think I'm finally conquering this phobia that I've had for over 20 years. And my biggest problem is that I have to do it again on the way back.
This is the first time in 27 years Ricky has successfully completed a flight without constant panic attacks.
Only thing I want you to pay attention to is how much better you did. You notice how much better it's getting each time, and eventually it will disappear. But you did really good. You're proud of yourself.
I am proud of myself, I have to say.
Yeah. And you know, if I can do this, then I can do the rest. And remember, it's not whether this is empty or full that makes you feel better. It's your brain. What you got to do is keep breathing and just say, who cares? It don't matter. And if you think of what you can do with all that time, you got so much spare time now. You got to fill it with something good, or you'll fill it with something bad. But you did really good. I'm really proud of you.
For 27 years, Ricky Johnson has unnecessarily suffered in silence. And in just one day of treatment, she has been taught the tools to cure herself and dramatically change her life. 2 weeks later, Ricky took a flight to see her daughter Sherry and grandchildren Brandon and Candice she hadn't seen in 3 years. Her panic attacks have now virtually disappeared.
And clear the